Hey guys, Tori here from Overlook Horizon. Where have you guys been, for crying out loud? We're back for some Starship action. This is kind of exciting. It's been a long time since we've really had a formal update to Starship, and we're gonna get that tonight now. So that's pretty exciting. We've got basically what's going on tonight, in case you're not aware, is our friendly neighborhood rocket CEO Elon Musk is going to give an update on Starship today, a formal presentation update. He's got press there. They got the whole thing set up with the full stack Starship, Super Heavy, the launch tower, the catch tower. They got it all. Everything's set up under lights, ready to go. to give us a presentation on what exactly is up with Starship. So it's been we did this before. If you're having a little bit of deja vu, we did this before. We did this back in September 2019. So it's been 2.5 years since SpaceX has given a formal presentation on Starship. So a lot has changed since then. We've had lots of Starships go kaboom, and we've had a couple successful landings, which is kind of exciting. So we've been on a little bit of a slow patch here for a little while as they're building and making changes. So kind of excited to hear about what kind of changes have come since those early days. So things that we might hear about tonight, which I just put a poll on Facebook in case you're watching on Facebook. Put a poll up, and if you're not on Facebook, you can just answer in the comments. But I asked, what are you most excited about hearing about today? So some of the things that we might hear about that I would love to hear more about is we've got since our last update, we've had successful missions and probably changes to the hardware. So it'd be nice to see what's been changed and what's been updated. Hardware that we know is coming with updates would be the Raptor engines. There's supposed to be a version 2 Raptor engines, which I just saw pictures of over on the Twitter machine, and it looks like they've got at least a full version, or at least a mock-up of some sort. I'm assuming it's a full version of a Raptor version 2 engine that's supposed to be a lot simpler, a little more sleek and redesigned to be more reliable. So it'd be nice to hear about Raptor 2. We've got the Artemis variant for the NASA Artemis program, the lunar lander. Remember SpaceX? We had all that drama with Blue Origin and SpaceX and Dynetics and everybody else trying to win the lunar contract. Well, SpaceX won that, and we might hear about that. We haven't really heard much about like a cargo variant for SpaceX's Starship. Remember, they're still trying to put up Starlink satellites, and they're having to put them up 60 at a time with the Falcon 9. You know, it might be in their best interest to try to accelerate the Starship cargo variant in order to get more Starlink satellites up there so they can really accelerate their Starlink rollout. So maybe we hear more about a cargo variant. Maybe we hear about a tanker variant. The Artemis mission kind of relies on the fact that this is supposed to be able to refuel in orbit. And so maybe we hear about a tanker version of Starship and what's going on there. So a whole bunch of things that we could possibly hear about. Then plus, there's always just the basic of like, when is it going to go orbital? You know, obviously we were having a rapid fire launches there for a couple of months a while back, and we haven't really seen much since then. There has been a little bit of a hiccup with the environmental review. We're kind of still waiting for the environmental review to get pushed along, but yeah, soon at some point we got to see an orbital launch of Starship. We've only seen suborbital launches, so that's kind of everything that's in store here. That's going to be coming up here in about 8 minutes or so. That we're waiting on. Now that's an approximate time. They might not start right at the top of the hour. That's when we're expecting them to start, but who knows? You might have to throw on an Elon factor to the start time. My friend TJ Cooney from I Need More Space calculated exactly what the Elon time factor, multiplication factor is, and I don't recall it off the top of my head. So, but let's check in with you guys. Let's see what's going on. Tell me what's been happening with you for the last couple of months, because I don't know where you guys have been. I mean, I've been here. Where have you guys been? I'll tell you one update for me. You probably didn't come here for this, but I'm going to tell you anyways because I'm super excited. Remember the last time we talked, I was working on my pilot's license. Well, guess what? I got it. I'm done. I got a pilot's license now. So that's kind of cool. So if you want to see some cool videos about that, I got my personal channel's got some videos from my flying days. But yeah, now I'm done with that. I just got that like a week ago. So kind of excited about that. So that's what's new with me. I've been working for months and weeks to study and get better at being a pilot, and I did that. Now I got a pilot's license, or I can already hear people yell. Technically, it's a pilot certificate, not a pilot's license. There is a difference between like license and certificate. None of the pilot's certificates in the U.S. are licenses. I think licenses technically expire, certificates don't. So and it's a pilot certificate, but it's all the diehard pilots that they all know the regulations. They're like, it's not a license, it's a certificate. Whatever, I got a pilot's license. Or certificate, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, let me check the chat. Let's see what's going on with you guys. Let's see, a couple people confused. Do you work for SpaceX? No, I don't work for SpaceX. I'm just a big fan. We're just all here to see what's happening with SpaceX and see what's going on.
Space Lobster ate the T-Tab. That's the answer.
Right, that's the answer here. So let me make sure. I want to make sure I don't miss it, and we want to put this on another screen so in case they start, I can actually see it. Let's see. Anyone? Let's see. Let me go through a couple of these comments. Hello from Northern Germany. Where you been, bro? Well, I've been here. Where you been? How does this thing work again? I don't know. I'm still pushing buttons. I got...
Lobster Fest is on.
Space Lobster ate the T-Tab.
I don't know.
That's the answer.
I get a little rusty. We'll figure this out together here. Welcome back, Tori, says William. Thank you, William. Virginia missed me. Well, I missed you, Virginia. Thanks for hanging out here with us today. Let's see. Timeless Jewel by Deborah with a super chat right out the gate. Timeless Jewel by Deborah. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Says, we have missed you, Tori. Well, I missed you all. I'd like to get back to doing some more frequent stuff. I don't know if you guys would be interested in this, but I don't know. I'm gonna make a video about becoming a pilot. I don't know if it's good for this channel or I should put it on my personal channel. Maybe you guys tell me what you want to see. But I've been considering. I'm gonna put a video together and basically tell you the whole process. But well, you let me know if you're interested in that. I'll put it here, or maybe I'll put it on my personal channel. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Let's see. Hey, my friend Marcus House in the house. Hey, Marcus. What's happening, man? I'm sure Marcus is excited. Marcus probably has a whole list of things that he wants to see in the Starship presentation today. Let's see. What are the odds? What are the odds on a launch date? Well, we'd have to pick a launch date first to determine. So I don't know. You give me a date and I'll tell you the odds on it. With zero evidence, but I'll give you odds. Our awesome moderator Anita, so good to be back live. Greetings to the whole Space Lobster Nation. From Anita, long time no see. From Ike. Let's see what else. What else is everybody up to? Very excited to see the stream notification. Awesome. Carrie Ann, one of our amazing regulars, with a $5 super chat. Also right out of the gate. Thank you, Carrie Ann. Great to catch you live. It's great. I'm glad you're here with us. I'm glad to get back to it. Let's see. Trying to scroll through as many as we can. What's Facebook? That's a good question. Yeah, I don't. It's still around and kicking. Dates and timeline. Oh, so Ike wants to hear about dates and timelines. Yeah, that would be good. Maybe if we get some updated dates, that would be nice. Let's see. Everybody asking, where have you been? I haven't seen you in like 4 months. It's only been 2 months. I know it sounds like. No, it seems like 4 months. It's only been 2 months. We were live 2 months ago. Hasn't been that long. Let's see. Oh, a bunch of people saying congrats on the pilot's license. Thank you very much. I'm pretty excited. What's your personal channel? It's just my name. So just search my name on YouTube and you'll find my personal channel. So I think there's a link on the Overlook Horizon channel or something, maybe, I don't know, but you just search my name, you'll find it on YouTube. Let's see. Now you gotta do your solo cross-country flight, Tori. When you mean cross-country, I mean cross-country by FAA definitions is like 50 miles. So are you talking like solo cross-country flight, like literally across the country? Because I've done plenty of solo cross-countries as far as the FAA is concerned. I've done a bunch of those. But in order to meet the FAA standards, you only have to fly 50 nautical miles for it to be considered a cross-country, which is really not that far. What do you rate it to fly? So I can pretty much fly any single engine propeller plane, basically. I mean, there's some limits to that, but like your typical thing that I would be able. The main thing that I fly is a Piper Cherokee. That's what I did all my training in. I'd probably have to get a little training in it, but probably only be a couple of hours just to get familiar with like a Cessna 172, a Cessna 150, any of those kind of single-engine planes. I can't fly multi-engine planes. I can't fly tailwheel planes. So the planes that I fly are tricycle gear. They have a nose wheel, not a tail wheel. So I can fly nose wheel, single-engine land planes. I can't fly seaplanes, but yeah, that's what I can fly. Let's see. We always knew you were certifiable. Thanks for that. Where's your usual NASA shirt jacket? I only wear the NASA thing for NASA events. This is not a NASA event, so this is a SpaceX event. Let's see. Tyler Matson with a super chat. Thanks, Tyler. Oh, it just scrolled off my screen. Let me go back to it. Any plans to bring back 2 Minute Tuesday? Would love to see the pilot video here, by the way. All right, Tyler says he'd love to see the pilot video here on the Overlook Horizon channel, so maybe we'll do it here. I really want to bring back 2 Minute Tuesday. It takes a lot to do the 2 Minute Tuesdays, as far as like research and scripting, and I really loved doing the 2 Minute Tuesdays, but it was just such a huge time commitment, and I've been super busy lately that I just haven't, I haven't even been close to even putting together half a thought for a 2 Minute Tuesday. So are there plans to bring back 2 Minute Tuesday? Yes, there are always plans to bring it back, but I keep myself busier than I should, which is my fault. But I want to get back to it. I just can't make any promises. Do a short here that points to your personal channel, because that's a suggestion from Kevin B. That's possible. Let's see. Launch sometime in March, says Zev. I think that's so we're going back to the odds thing. I don't know. That seems like pretty short timeline. I don't know if we'll get an orbital launch in March. That seems too short. But I don't know. SpaceX always kind of amazes me with their timelines. Sometimes their timelines are longer than expected. Sometimes they're way shorter than expected. So. Let's see. I saw the video of the plane whizzing by the balloon, and I was wondering if that's a very common occurrence, or was that just an amazing catch? It is more common than you think, just not on video. So it doesn't happen very often on video, but there are so many weather balloons that are launched. So he's referring to our weather balloon video. I think it's our video with the most views, is airplane flying by one of our weather balloons. It's a pretty cool video. It doesn't get captured on video very often, but it is actually a fairly regular occurrence. We just don't hear about it because most of the time they're National Weather Service balloons that have no cameras. Let's see. The real YT missed you, Tori. Yes, post it. I wanted to become a pilot, but having seizures for some unknown reason. Yeah, well, I think we can consider it. I'm sorry that if a pilot's not in your future, or becoming a pilot's not in your future, there's certainly other things that you could do to get into aviation. Just to be involved or in the environment is kind of cool. Let's see. As a past pilot, let's hear about your pilot's journey. We'll help future pilots. Congrats. All right, you guys might be convincing me to post it here. Glad you're back. They need to launch the Big Mama Starship. Let's see. Come to Oshkosh in July. It's going to be epic. I know. I would love to go to Oshkosh. That big aviation gathering. I don't know if I'm ready to fly into Oshkosh myself. Like, that seems very intimidating. Let's see. How many hours did it take me to become a pilot? I took my check ride at 85 hours. So I probably could have done it sooner than that. My instructor wanted me to do it sooner than that, but I didn't want to do it sooner than that. So I flew 85 hours, and then I took my check ride at 85 hours. Would you love to fly a Learjet? Yeah, I think it'd be cool to. I'm excited, like, to try other planes just in general. Like, even I've never flown a Cessna. Now that I have the license, I would love to fly a Cessna, or anything different. A Mooney. Have you given the missus and the kids a flight yet? No, not yet. They will be coming very soon, though. SpaceX stream is on. Yes, it is on. And looks like they are starting. So let's do that, and we'll get rid of that one. So they're just about to start. We'll grab a couple more comments. Let's see what else we've got going on. Marcus House says, love the Raptor shot by Tim on Twitter. That's amazing. Yeah, that's the one that I just saw was Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, just posted a picture of the Raptor V1 next to Raptor V2, and it's crazy to see how much of a difference there is. So I'm sure we'll hear something about Raptor V2 tonight. Let's any other comments that I can grab here right before they go live? I think oh wait, let's get some volume because I don't hear anything. And do you have another channel? I have a personal channel that I just, it's not super organized. I just throw things up there. So yeah, you can check out my personal channel. It's under my name. If you wanna find me, my flying adventures, they're my personal channel on my name. Let's see, how long until lunch? I probably won't have lunch again until tomorrow. Heat Shield says, I won't fly into the Oshkosh party. I'm humble enough to know I'm not ready for that. Yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that. Oh, here's Elon.
All right, welcome.
All right, let's listen in.
Welcome.
Wait, we want...
Welcome to Starbase. So it's been almost 2 years since our last update, and a lot has happened since then. By the way, I'm getting like a strange audio feedback. I don't know do I sound okay to you guys?
No, you sound weird.
Okay, great.
It sounds like tinny.
So
like
it's been 2 years
metally.
Since we had our first Mark 1 rocket, and a lot has happened since then. We're going to go through the progress, but I'm just incredibly proud of the SpaceX team and all the support that we received from Cameron County, from Brownsville, from South Padre. And I know some of you in the audience, so thank you very much for your support. So before we jump into the details of what's happened over the past 2 years, I think it's worth just talking a bit about this, like why are we doing this? You know, this, I mean, pretty epic, but what's the sort of deep meaning behind this? Like, why build a giant reusable rocket? Why make life multiplanetary? And I think this is just an incredibly important thing for the future of life itself. So, and there's both I call it the sort of the defensive reason or the life insurance reason. That's one part of it, which is that there's always some chance that something could go wrong on Earth. The dinosaurs are not around anymore. So, you know, there could be some calamity that where we do ourselves in, or there's a natural disaster. Now, I'm naturally an optimist, so I think the probability of that is low, but it is not zero. And eventually, the sun will expand. It might take a few 100 million years, so don't hold your breath. But eventually, the sun will expand and destroy all life. So for those who really care about not just the humans, but all the life on Earth, it is very important, essential, that over the long term, that we become a multi-planet species and ultimately even go beyond the solar system and bring life with us. And, you know, we are life's stewards, life's guardians. You know, the creatures that we love they can't build spaceships, but we can, and we can bring them with us. And I think that's pretty important, you know, for those that care about the environment and care about all the creatures on Earth. So that's like I would say like the defensive or the life insurance reason for life collectively. But there's also an inspiring reason, which is that life can't just be about solving problems. There have to be things that inspire you, that move your heart, that make you glad to be, when you wake up in the morning, you're excited about the future. And going out there and being a multi-planet species and being a spacefaring civilization and making science fiction, not fiction forever, I think that's one of those things. You know, I think that's what fires me up the most, is like, let's go out there and find out what this universe is all about. You know, are there other species out there? Maybe. You know, hopefully it's. I mean, we want to go find out what the heck's going on. What is going on? I mean, how do we get here? What's the meaning of life? 42. But what's the question? You know, if we go out there and we explore the galaxy, ultimately, then we can find out some of these questions, and it will just be very exciting to do that, and something we can all look forward to. And even, you know, whether somebody chooses to go or not, I think, you know, vicariously we can all go there, just like with Apollo, where, you know, only a handful of people went to the moon, but in a sense, we all went there. Humanity went there. And so even if somebody doesn't choose to go themselves, I think vicariously through others, they will go, they will understand, they will experience the universe. And I think that's incredibly fundamental to an exciting future. And that's why we're doing this. So.
I'm in. When are we going?
And yeah. Now, one of the rebuttals we'll sometimes hear is, like, sure, but what about all the problems on Earth? And I completely agree that the vast majority of resources should be dedicated to solving problems on Earth. Absolutely. I'd say like more than 99% of our resources should be oriented towards solving problems on Earth. It's important to note that, like, NASA's annual budget is only 0.36% of the federal budget. And in fact, of the national GDP, it's less than 1/10 of a percentage point. So it's like we're only spending 0.1% of our resources on space. I think that's okay. You know, like we'll be fine. You know, so just to make sure people don't think like, well, is he suggesting that we just spend everything on space? No, I'm suggesting like maybe 0.5% or something like that. We'll probably be okay. So, and I think, you know, given this establishing security for life itself and having an exciting future and inspiring kids about the future, I think it's worth it, basically.
Agreed. It's worth it.
Yeah. So, well, how do we do this? How do we make life multiplanetary? What's the first step? And the essential technology, the holy grail breakthrough that's needed, is a rapid and completely reusable rocket system. So this has never been accomplished before. And there's a lot of people, for the longest time, thought this was not possible. Now, with Falcon 9, we've been able to show that you can have reuse of a boost stage and reuse of the fairing. So with Falcon 9, we've demonstrated a lot of reuse of the boost stage and of the fairing. We've have over 100 reflights of the fairing of the booster, and I'm not sure of the fairing number, but it's a lot. And that's a big step in the right direction. With Starship, we're aiming for full and rapid reusability. So, we obviously need to accomplish that. That's not done yet, but the success is one of the possible outcomes, which I always think is when embarking on an endeavor, success should be at least one of the possible outcomes. And for this design, that is the case. And we're aiming for rapid reusability, which is why the booster is going to take off and then fly back to the launch tower and aspirationally land on the arms, which does sound insane, or as Bill Riley would say, audacious. But if it does come in too fast and shear off the arms, then I guess it will be a farewell to arms. Sorry. There's the dad jokes, I have to warn you, they're only going to get worse. Here I'd really just like to congratulate the SpaceX team and also thank NASA, the FAA, the Space Force, and everyone, and all of our customers that have helped us get to this point. It's insanely hard to get a rocket to orbit. Insanely difficult. I have huge respect for anyone who's gotten a rocket to orbit. It's so hard. And we've had 144 successful launches, 106 landings. Actually, these days I have to look on the internet, say, how many landings have we had? I'll have to ask the internet. 83 flight-proven launches. Although I have to say, I still have like launch PTSD every time the rocket takes off. I'm like, I just see all the ways that it could fail. And then this year we're actually aiming to have around 50 launches, so it's about a launch per week on average. And
that's a lot of launches.
Yeah, so it's a hell of a year we got ahead of us. In terms of mass to orbit, if you look at like tonnage to orbit, this bar chart that we'll show here really illustrates how profound a rapidly reusable rocket, especially a big one, is. What effect that has on total tonnage to orbit. So the total mass to orbit to date of Earth is around 15,000 tons, maybe 16,000 tons. The mass per Starship after a year, just 1 year of launching, if it launches 3 times a day, would be equal to all the mass to orbit of Earth to date.
3 times a day?
That's just one Starship launching 3 times a day for a year. Now, if you have,
I think
I
think you meant 3 times a week.
10 Starships-ish.
The next one is 3 times a day.
Then, and we'll have more than that. Our goal is to be making at least a one stack per month, and then ultimately potentially a ship every 3 days. There'll be more ships than there are boosters because the booster actually, even though it's gigantic, will come back in about 6 minutes. Excitement guaranteed.
Yeah.
So it only takes about 2 minutes on ascent and then about 4 minutes to return. So you'll know soon. The ship has to complete at least 1 orbit around Earth, and sometimes maybe 3 orbits or more. And each orbit is 90 minutes. So the ship is probably, reusable about every 6 to 8 hours. That's why we say sort of 3 times a day for the ship. But in theory, the booster is capable of being reused every hour. So the propellant pumps are designed to fill the rocket in about half an hour. So this really is designed for rapid reusability.
Could you imagine? That'd be crazy.
If you can do roughly a million tons to Earth orbit, that's comfortably over 100,000 tons to the surface of Mars, maybe 150,000 tons, depending on how good the landing system is. So now you can only go to Mars every 2 years. And I think maybe roughly you need about 1 million tons on Mars to have a self-sustaining city. But the critical threshold, I think, for Mars is to have a city that is self-sustaining. It's going to be incredibly difficult to make a self-sustaining city because if it's missing any ingredient at all, however minor that ingredient is, then if the ships from Earth stop coming for any reason, the city will die out. So the critical threshold to pass one of the most important great filters for any species is to have the other planet no longer dependent on the original planet. So I don't know exactly what that tonnage is, but I suspect it is at least, if one tries to get the right order of magnitude, about 1 million tons. Hopefully it's not more than that. Starship is capable of doing that. It's capable of getting 1 million tons to the surface of Mars and creating a self-sustaining city. And I think we should try to do that as soon as we can. The window of opportunity may be open for a long time, and I hope it is, but it may also be open for a short time. And this is the first point in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth that it has been possible. I mean, let that sink in. Or if there's a sink, let it in. Still knocking at the door. I mean, it's a sentient sink. Let's face it. Come in. So, 4.5 billion years. It's been a while. This is the first time it's been possible. We need to seize the opportunity and do it as quickly as possible. I mean, to be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days. And like I said, I'm an optimist, but I think we've got to protect the downside here and try to build that city on Mars as soon as possible and secure the future of life. And it's going to be an incredibly exciting adventure. Now, the sales pitch for going to Mars is that it's going to be cramped, dangerous, difficult, very hard work. You might die, and that's the sales pitch. I hope you like it.
Good sales pitch.
So far from being some sort of escape hatch, it will be extremely difficult and dangerous and tough. Mars is a fixer-upper of a planet, and so it's going to take some work to make it easy to live there. But one day we could make Mars a planet like Earth, and I think we should. So just some facts about Starship, and these numbers will evolve over time. The height of the ship is about 50 meters, 164 feet. The 9 meter or 30 foot diameter. Well, you can just see it basically. It's got about 1,200 tons of propellant on the ship, and thrust is about 1,500 tons. Now these numbers will, we'll probably add more propellant over time, increase thrust. Diameter will stay the same. It's a huge pain to change diameter. So that'll tend to stay the same, but it'll probably get a little bit longer. And we're expecting payload capacity of 100 to 150 tons, depending on which orbit. So to a Starlink orbit, roughly 100 tons. Over time, I think we can probably get the orbit for orbital refilling, the payload to an orbit for orbital refilling to about 200 tons, which is going to be very important for getting to Mars. So for getting to Mars, you also need the orbital refilling. Just like you have aerial refueling, the rockets will need orbital refilling. It's actually mostly oxygen. There's 3.5 tons of oxygen for every 1 ton of fuel. So that's why it's refilling, not refueling. So heat shield. So this is the world's largest heat shield. This is, we actually make this at our little factory in Florida near Cape Canaveral. We call it the bakery. And we're actually using a lot of techniques that are used for roofing tiles. So we need to have a heat shield that is capable of resisting extreme heat, but also is not crazy expensive. And our heat shield team has done amazing work in creating the world's largest heat shield, and one that is reusable, but also robust and low cost. So it's not a crazy money heat shield. And yeah, we need good heat shield technology for entering from orbit. Orbital refilling. We were going to do an animation of this, but it looked a bit wrong. It is a fluid transfer. So, yeah. Play a little Barry White, you know. Okay. So that's one of the technologies that is necessary for getting to Mars. So the ship would get to orbit with its payload.
Whoa, that wasn't me.
And then in orbit we'd refill the tanks so it would have enough propellant to get to Mars. Mars is far. So now this is essentially docking in orbit, and with Dragon docking with the space station, this is a technology that that SpaceX has become quite good at. We've done, I think at this point, a couple dozen dockings with the space station, and it's actually way harder to dock with the space station than to dock with yourself. So this is, you know, it is a thing we need to solve for Starship, but I'm confident that we can do this because we've done a lot of orbital docking already with Dragon. But this is going to be an important thing to demonstrate. What won't be necessary in the near term for Starlink launches, but it will be necessary for Mars and the Moon. So let's see, the Super Heavy booster. So it was 70 meters, but then there was an extra half barrel section that the team deleted, and totally accidentally it's 69 meters. It's also booster 4 and ship 20. I mean, this is a pure coincidence. Those numbers won't leave me alone. It's just, I hope it's good luck. So yeah, so propellant capacity is like around 3,400 tons. I think like I said, it'll probably it will increase over time. Probably get to 36, maybe 3,800 tons. Thrust is around 7,600 tons. That'll probably increase too over time. Just to put this into perspective, though, the Saturn V was 7.5 million pounds of thrust, and Starship is 17. So it's more than twice the thrust of a Saturn V, which was that's the largest rocket ever to get to orbit. It's worth noting Super Heavy is the largest flying object of any kind, or will be. It's yeah, very big. You can see it right there. That booster has 29 engines. The next booster, we actually increased the engine count to 33. We've kind of bounced around on engine count, but because I think at one point we had like 37 engines, and then we went to 29. We finally settled on 33 engines, which is about actually the most number of engines you can actually fit under that booster without like expanding the diameter. Yeah, and then this tower. This tower from design to construction was 13 months, so it's quite an epic structure. It's really worth emphasizing that the whole launch system, which is basically stage 0, is I'd say as complex and difficult as either the booster or the ship. So I really want to emphasize that this is and it's a very difficult thing that requires a lot of hardcore engineering, and it's really like I said, the tower and the launch system, which I call stage 0, is just as important as stage 1 and stage 2. I mean, this is really some wild stuff here. In fact, I mean, hard to believe it's real, except, you know, it's right there. So, yeah. And then Raptor development. Raptor 1 was 185 tons of thrust. Raptor 2 is 230 tons of thrust, and I think over time we can get that to probably 250 tons. So that's, and it's also significantly simplified. So you can see the difference between V1 and V2. The V2 is, V1 looks like kind of like a Christmas tree spaghetti pile. A lot of fiddly bits. And V2 is greatly simplified while also increasing thrust at the same time. So it actually, Raptor 2 costs about half as much as Raptor 1, despite having much more thrust. And I think just generally being a much easier engine to build and a more robust engine. So very excited about Raptor version 2, and it's only going to get better from here. So Raptor 2 is pretty sick.
You gotta warn a guy with headphones before you do that.
Actually, the peak thrust that we've operated Raptor 2 at this point is 247 tons, and so I'm confident that with some improvements we can get to a 250-ton operating point, and continue to simplify and sort of robustify the engine. So it's really a spectacular piece of engineering, extremely difficult to make and succeed. Engine has been mind-bogglingly difficult, but it is one of the essential keys to. I mean, it is essential, obviously, to making Starship work. It'll be the first full flow stage combustion engine to get to orbit. Yeah. Kind of need that ISP and thrust to weight. So why Starbase? A lot of people like say why Starbase? Why here? And we kind of needed a confluence of factors. Getting to orbit, you want to launch eastward so that you have help from Earth's rotation. So the closer you are to the equator, the more of a sort of a boost from Earth rotation that you get. So you want to be as south as possible and launch eastward. And then, it's always possible that something goes wrong. And so you want to have a good clear area. You want several miles around the launch site to be unpopulated or at least clearable. And that doesn't actually leave a lot of options. It's basically here and Cape Canaveral or Cape Kennedy is where are the other two possibilities. And then because we have had a lot of launches going out of the Cape, we didn't want to disrupt the Cape activity, the operational launches, with sort of the advanced R&D of Starship. So it was important to decouple the operational launches from the R&D launches, and that's why we're at this location. And once again, I'd just like to thank Cameron County and Brownsville, South Padre, and the remaining residents of Boca Chica Village. Where I live, by the way, it's my primary residence, is that little village over there. So, and it's been great. It's been great being here, and yeah, like super appreciate the support of the community. Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Starship orbital flight. All right.
So I think we've got a
When are we going
video
orbital?
to show what we hope will happen with launch.
I want to know when.
Okay, no.
When are we doing it?
Oh wait, sorry. We have some upcoming Starship missions. Orbital flight is really just the beginning. So we're going to have a number of Starlink missions that will launch Starlink satellite version 2. But even more exciting than that is the NASA human spaceflight mission. We're incredibly honored that NASA has selected Starship to take astronauts back to the moon for the first time in half a century, which is kind of mind-blowing. So, I'd just like to say, like, SpaceX is just deeply honored and appreciative that NASA would choose us for this incredibly important mission, and we'll get it done. And then there's also the Dear Moon mission, which is going to take artists around the moon, and that's Yusaku Miyazawa, and he's going to select I think a dozen artists and do a loop around the moon, which will be very exciting.
Yeah, we forgot
and
that's
there's going to
still
be
a thing.
some future announcements that I think people will be pretty fired up about. So. Anyway, super exciting future ahead with this. There'll probably be a few bumps in the road, you know, but we want to iron those out with satellite missions and test missions, and get to a high flight rate, and then have something that's extremely reliable for human spaceflight. So, yeah.
that was pretty cool. Kind of risk getting a copyright strike for playing that music, but it was kind of cool. So I was going for it. Hopefully I don't get copyright claim for that.
Let's make this real. Any questions?
That's it? I have lots of questions. So many questions.
Let's make this real. Cool.
So many questions. When?
Fire away.
That's it?
Anyone? I can't see you, so you probably just have to yell it out or something.
Hi, Elon.
Yes, there's 6 Raptors on Starship. Currently 3 with the vacuum nozzle, 3 sea level. Sorry?
Check.
And I think if I would say, like, we'll probably end up adding another 3 vacuum engines. They kind of, fill in the gaps and stretch the ship. I think is going to make a lot of sense.
Are we just going to shout out
yell,
questions?
unfortunately.
Isn't there a microphone or something?
We are building a launch site, a Starship launch tower at 39A at Cape Kennedy. And we are also building a Starship production facility at the Cape. So we'll have production facility and launch site here and a production facility and launch site at the Cape as well. It's important to have redundancy.
Hi,
Sir.
Elon. It's Irene Klotz with Aviation Week over here.
I've got lights in my eyes, so unfortunately I can't see.
Okay, well-
I'm blinded. So I can hear where
We're
the
all
speaker is
here.
coming from.
Okay.
But,
You should. I believe you're expecting to hear in a couple weeks about the possible finding of no significant impact from the FAA. Have you gotten any indications if that's going to come through, and what is your time frame for the orbital flight test?
Yes, that's the question we want to know. When?
well, we don't have a ton of insight into where things stand with the FAA. We have gotten sort of a rough indication that there may be an approval in March, but that's all we know.
So, hi, Elon. Marcus Hervey. Can you talk about the point-to-point capability? Is there a possibility between here and Cape Canaveral?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess technically yes. So, I mean, depending on how good things get with Starship, there are some scenarios where it might actually be the lowest cost means of transporting cargo long distances. So the interesting thing is that the capital efficiency of a rocket is much better than the capital efficiency of a plane for long distance flights. So now this would really be more for if you're going like, I don't know, a quarter or a third or halfway around the world, where if you went from, I don't know, say here to Singapore or something, like that's a long flight. So, I mean, I don't know how long that is. I'm not sure you can even go there nonstop, but it's probably like 20 hours plus. And, but in a rocket, it would be less than an hour. So like 45 minutes or thereabouts. So that means you'd be able to use the rocket 20 times more often than an aircraft. So it's 20 times the capital efficiency. So provided the propellant cost is competitive with aircraft. And bear in mind, like I was saying, there's 3.5 tons of liquid oxygen for every 1 ton of fuel. And liquid oxygen is basically just the cost of electricity. Because it's in the air, basically. There is a scenario where it's economically compelling to do long-distance cargo and people transport with Starship. That'd be very cool, and I think that'd be great for getting a high flight rate and a business case for supporting a lot of Starships operating. And basically, nothing's faster than an ICE EVM.
We got a question right here, Elon, right in the middle, right here, right, hands up in the middle.
I mean, I literally have lights in my eyes, and it's pitch dark in front of me.
It's fine. Hi, Elon. Michael Sheets with CNBC. You opened this presentation by addressing a little bit of the criticism that's been aimed at space travel being seen as maybe a pet project or not really valuable to folks who have problems here on Earth. I was wondering if you could get a little more into the specifics on comparing not just the U.S. government spending that's happening on space travel versus other things, but maybe in terms of SpaceX itself, how you and private investment on a dollar value compares to the taxpayer-funded projects or contracts that SpaceX has won over the years.
Well, I think objectively, the cost efficiency of SpaceX is the best in history, I think, for any rocket development, and we are talking about a rocket that's more than twice the mass and thrust of a Saturn V, and also designed to be fully reusable, which is obviously also much better from an environmental standpoint to have a fully reusable rocket, for a development cost that is, I don't know, between 5 and 10% of Saturn V. So that's pretty good. Of course, we need to make it work, so it's not worked yet, but it will work. Might be a few bumps along the road, but it'll work. I feel at this point, highly confident that we'll get to orbit this year. That's we're making a lot of rockets, making a lot of engines. We're close to achieving a Raptor 2 every day production rate, so 7 a week, which is tough for a complex engine. And I think by the end of this year, we'll be able to produce a ship and a booster per month. So this is I don't know, at least an order of magnitude, maybe 2 orders of magnitude more efficient than anything in the past. Yeah. So.
Hey Elon, this is Joey Roulette for Supercluster. Just wondering, what does SpaceX's plan and timeline look like if the FAA ultimately decides to do a deeper environmental review of Starbase? And then one other thing, you might be able to give us an updated figure on what it costs to Starship and what it would cost a customer to buy a flight on one. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I am optimistic that we will get approval. I think objectively, I think this is not something that will be harmful to the environment. We've obviously flown the ship several times and done multiple landings and takeoffs and landings, and we've fired the engines a lot. So I think the reality is that it would not have a significant impact. Now, of course, that doesn't mean things don't get delayed from a regulatory standpoint. And we are in a litigious society, and so there's always sort of lawsuits from someone, lawsuit city. Now we do have the alternative of the Cape, and we actually applied for environmental approval for launch from the Cape a few years ago and received it. So we actually are approved from an environmental standpoint to launch from 39A. So I guess our worst case scenario is that we would, I don't know, be delayed for 6 to 8 months to build up the Cape launch tower and launch from there. From a cost standpoint, the costs will improve significantly over time. So because it'll take us a moment to achieve full reusability and full and rapid reusability, we'll probably lose a few vehicles along the way. With Falcon 9, I think it took us 14 or 15 attempts to successfully land the first booster. I don't think it'll take us that many with Starship because we have that experience. But it's certainly not a sure thing that it'll work the first time. I mean, from a cost standpoint, I mean, it's a 100-ton capability to orbit. On a marginal cost to launch basis, that doesn't count fixed costs, which obviously have to be covered. It may be as little as a few $1,000,000 per flight, maybe even as low as $1 million per flight. So this is crazy. These are crazy low numbers by space standards, crazy low. Now, we do have to cover fixed costs, so depending on what our launch rate is, we have to divide the fixed cost by the number of launches. So the more launches that happen, the lower the total cost, fully considered cost per flight would be. But I'm highly confident it would be less than $10 million all in over, if you say like fast forward like 2 or 3 years from now. I think it's highly likely to be everything included less than $10 million a flight for a 100-ton to orbit capability. And 100 tons to a useful orbit, not to a low orbit. To a low orbit, it would be 150 tons. So this is ridiculously good compared to everything else. And it should be, because if you think of like, if this was if aircraft were not reusable, how much would an air ticket cost? I mean, it's like, for, I don't know what, a 787 or 777 goes for these days. I don't know, a few $100 million. If you had to spend, $200 million every flight, it would be very expensive to fly somewhere, and you'd need 2 of them for, another one for the return trip. So, it would obviously be absurd. So if you can imagine if we were in a world where aircraft were expendable, and then someone came along with a reusable aircraft, it would be an absolutely profound game changer. That's what needs to happen for life to become multiplanetary, and that's what this design, I'm confident, is capable of that. It's just a question of how long it will take to refine that and have it really dialed.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, this is Andrea Leinfelder of the Houston Chronicle. I wanted to know, when and how do you plan to test Starship refueling in space? And also, aside from NASA, Dear Moon, and Starlink, can you elaborate on the potential customer base for Starship? Thank you.
I apologize. I zoned out for a second. I was just thinking about something. Could you say that question again?
Wait, what? What?
Sorry. When and
We have some mic issues.
okay. When and how do you plan to test Starship refueling in space?
Yeah.
And aside from NASA, Dear Moon, and Starlink, can you elaborate on potential customers for Starship? Thank you.
I think orbital refilling, and I want to emphasize it is refilling, not refueling, because it's 3.5 times as much oxygen than fuel. So we mostly are carrying oxygen up there. I optimistically, towards the end of next year, I think I'd be surprised if it's longer than 2 years for doing the refilling. And there are a lot of additional customers that will want to use Starship. I don't want to steal their thunder. They're going to make their announcements, and but I think this will get a lot of use, a lot of attention. It's like I said, once we make this work, it's an utterly profound breakthrough in access to orbit. And when you have an utterly profound breakthrough, the use cases will be hard to imagine. I mean, when aircraft first came along, aircraft were viewed as toys, like they were like a novelty, not a means of transport. They were like, oh look, we can fly like a bird briefly and dangerously for a few minutes. Nobody at the time, or at least I think very few people at the time, thought that there would be a global aircraft industry with airports throughout the world carrying people to every part of Earth in ridiculously short periods of time. When the Wright brothers first took off, I mean, most people were just riding horses. So you're like, oh, like riding a horse, see this crazy device, looks like witchcraft. And they would not have imagined that there would be aircraft flying, tens of thousands of aircraft flying to every corner of the world. So I think we made this really could be an extremely profound situation, and we really can't even imagine all the use cases at this point. So.
Hi, Elon. This is Steve Clark with the Brownsville Herald. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
So if the FAA does come back and say we need an EIS, does Starbase bounce back from that at some point?
Yeah, I mean, it would obviously set us back for quite some time because an EIS takes a lot longer than an EA. So we would have to shift our priorities to Cape Kennedy.
Okay, and long term, what do you envision for Starbase? Like a spaceport with flights coming and going and Starship manufacturing, or what is the future role of Starbase?
The future role of Starbase, I think, it's well suited to be kind of like our advanced R&D location. So it's like where we would try out new designs and new versions of the rocket, and then I think probably Cape Kennedy would be our sort of main operational launch site, and then. I don't know, over time, I think there's going to be, we'll have floating spaceports, like ocean spaceports. We got these 2 converted oil rigs that are going to be turned into orbital launch sites. And they can be moved around the world. So, that I think there could be quite a few of those. I think about like, if I think about like, what would really work for long-distance travel. Because the rocket is quite loud, you want to be, I don't know, 20 miles away from a major city or 30 miles away from a major city, just so you don't, you're not disturbing people too much. So I think probably most of the launch sites long-term will be kind of ocean or sea spaceports. So like maybe located like 20 miles, 30 miles offshore. And this would allow Starship to connect any cities that are on the ocean or on the sea, and have a high flight rate, but without disturbing people too much. I think people are willing to have something that's loud occasionally, but if you want to have it frequently, then it probably needs to be offshore.
It would make it a lot harder for us
Hello,
to watch.
I'm Cam Gerlach with the SpaceX Reddit community. So you've talked a lot about how Raptor 2 is crucially important for Starship development and for the future of Starship. So I'm curious, what general improvements have you made with Raptor 2 to ensure it's not only more efficient and more powerful, but also much easier to produce and less expensive as well and faster? And how do you plan to continue to iterate further on the design in the future?
So, Raptor 2 is an almost complete redesign relative to Raptor 1. So basically, everything from the turbomachinery to the chamber nozzle, the electronics, basically everything's been redesigned. You can see the difference over there, the Raptor 1 versus Raptor 2. A lot of the changes were deleting things. We deleted a lot, consolidated a lot. rotating machinery, especially the inducers of the turbopumps, are a lot more robust. We converted a bunch of flanges to welds, and we're actually over time will convert even more flanges to welds. I hate flanges, especially if you've got high pressure and a cryogenic fluid or super hot gas. Flanges and seals are a nightmare, and so we've got parts of that engine that are sort of 700-800 bar, sort of 11,000, 12,000 psi, which is nutty, and so just going to welded joints instead of flanges was pretty helpful. The pre-burner controllers have been consolidated into a sort of a unified box as opposed to being kind of like all over the engine. And we're getting close to the point where I think Raptor will not need shrouds. So shrouds are a huge pain in the ass, like basically putting a whole shield. And we're getting close to the point where I think Raptor will not need shrouds. So shrouds are a huge pain in the ass, like basically putting a whole shield around the engine, especially for the gimbaling engines, where it's got to kind of have like a sort of eyeball seal, like it's like rotating in a circle with a hot gas seal. With a bit more deletion and integration, I think the engine will be sort of flame proof, more or less, and then we can get rid of the shrouds, which would be a big mass savings. Yeah. So a lot more could go on. We're also operating at a higher chamber pressure. I think we can probably operate. I think over time we can operate it at 330 bar sustained in the main chamber, without having the pre-burner pressures be too high. By essentially not by losing less pressure. There's like a whole pressure ladder going from the turbopumps and pre-burners to the main chamber, and by getting rid of a bunch of the choke points, we can have less pressure loss, and so the pumps can effectively produce more pressure in the main chamber due to the less less loss in the secondary systems. Do you have any? Have specific questions or?
Sorry, Chris Gebhardt with NASA Spaceflight. Can you talk a little bit about the abort modes that are available for ship if there were ever to be a problem during the climb to orbit? What would be available to the crew in that regard? And also on that same level, the life support systems for ship. Where do those stand, and what are the challenges that you're finding with just the sheer volume in Starship for that? Thank you.
So Starship will not have an independent abort system, but I think something that would make sense is to have the thruster weight of the ship be enough that it could do it could take off from the booster even if the booster has a failure at the pad level. So if you can get the thruster weight of the ship at sea level above 1, then even if there is something goes wrong with the booster, the ship can essentially fly away from the booster. And so that's something that I think would be important for carrying people and also for high-value cargo to have the ship have a thruster weight greater than 1 even at sea level. And then there's like I said, that would be like the 9-engine version. And then even if you lost 1 engine, I think you should still be able to do an abort. So I think for crewed missions, we would essentially maybe detank the ship to some degree so that you'd have kind of a launch abort capability with the ship, even if you lost an engine. That'd be my recommendation. From a life support standpoint, we would have a sort of a renewable, like for long, we could scale up the life support system in Dragon. That would certainly be an option. and that would work for missions that are, say, a week or 2 weeks. That would be fine. For missions to Mars, you'd want a life support system that is renewable. So it's essentially recycling everything in a closed loop system with close to zero lost mass. So that would be a more advanced system, because you'd have to convert the CO2 back into O2 and kind of recycle, poop and urine and stuff. So that's a harder problem, but it's not an immediate problem. We can certainly scale up Dragon for any kind of missions that are, a few weeks long.
Hi, Elon. Eric Berger with Ars Technica. Thanks for taking some questions. I'm wondering if you do get that approval from the FAA in March. I know that there's really no way of knowing, but could you talk a little bit about the hardware readiness, sort of where you are technically? The launch tower is pretty incredible, but sort of the rocket, the ground systems, software. Like if you were to get some kind of approval from the FAA in March, would you be looking at, how quickly could the hardware be ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're close to having the hardware ready to go. So right now, I think we're tracking to have the regulatory approval and hardware readiness around the same time.
So we're launching in March.
Around the same, hopefully, basically a couple months for both.
Hi, Seth Krakowski with SpaceXport.com. You mentioned launching from the sea. Could you give us an update on the current status of using Phobos and Deimos for Starship operations?
Yeah, so Phobos and Deimos thus far have been a relatively low priority. We needed to make the launch site here work. This has been quite a difficult endeavor. So we deprioritized the Phobos and Deimos. And just last month, we started to, we're going to take one of them and build at least a catch tower on it. So, and ultimately we will, ultimately meaning like, I don't know, later this year, build a full launch capability on one of the platforms. So I think hopefully by the end of this year, we will have a launch capability at Cape Kennedy at 39A and on one of the ocean platforms as well.
Hi, Ellen. This is Adam Cardona with CBS 4 and NBC 23 here in the Rio Grande Valley. This is more of a community-based question. This past week, several BISD students, community leaders, and community members got together to ask you a question and to show their gratitude. Not sure if you got that message yet, but they were saying thank you, Elon, and they wanted to know if you would be able to attend their Charos Days festivities here in Brownsville. So on behalf of them, will you be attending Charos Days?
It sounds like fun. So like, when is it?
I believe it starts on the 19th through the 25th. So you have several days to attend Sombrero Festival, Charos Days parades, enjoy some great food. Will we see you there?
I will be there.
All right.
All right.
That's going to be hard to follow up. Hey, Elon. Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut here. Okay, so a little bit more Raptor 2 talk again. Where are you at as far as production? How many do you have? Are they handling, testing? Are they more cantankerous, less cantankerous? Just give us a little more rundown, like on where you're actually at. Is that a bottleneck for the next booster as well? We assume the next booster is going to require, Raptor 2. So kind of where are you at with the production and the testing so far?
Well, I mean, right now, of any technical problem, I'm spending the most time personally on Raptor 2. Like really, they're like the two things that occupy the most number of mental cycles are Raptor 2 and Tesla Full Self-Driving. So The only remaining issue that we're aware of is melting the chamber. So if that thing
Just
really
minor
wants to
problem.
melt, you know. It's got like on the order of a gigawatt of heat, so it's pretty hot. Like a gigawatt's like what a nuclear power plant produces, so it really is desperately trying to melt at any point in time. So we've got, we're flowing an immense amount of cryogenic fuel to cool the chamber in the channels. We have head-end film cooling. We've got throat film cooling, and we're just trying to get the exact sort of balance between head-end film cooling and throat film cooling to not melt the chamber. I think we're pretty close. Like we have a couple engines in the stand that have I think 700 or 800 seconds of operation and several start cycles. So it's looking positive, but that's the remaining issue is melting the chamber. But in the meantime, we're scaling up old production to get to 1 a day or better. So apart from melted chambers, we're doing well. We've got a lot of pumps, a lot of electronics, a lot of pre-burner controllers. So just not melting the chamber, which is very difficult, is the kind of the last remaining challenge. But I think we're very close to solving that. And then the production system has a lot of momentum. Like I said, we're really, like next week we'll probably make at least 5 or 6 Raptor 2s, for example. And I think we'll be at a 7 a week or better by next month. But those are crazy. These are crazy numbers for rocket engines, by the way. So, yeah.
Hi, Elon. Robert Perlman with Space.com and Collect Space. You mentioned the NASA contract for the human landing system. At one point, do you envision splintering off development of Starship for HLS, or how are you going to balance the timelines of rapid reusability versus NASA's own schedule of when they're ready to go to the moon?
I don't think there's really a conflict there. We're going to be making a lot of ships, a lot of boosters, obviously a lot of engines. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like with the booster with 33 engines and the ship with 9 engines is 42. There we go again. And that also total coincidence. So adding legs to land on the moon, we do not think is like that can be done pretty quickly. So I don't really see any conflict between achieving rapid reusability and getting to the moon. Yeah. A high production rate solves many ills. So we're aiming for a high production rate.
Hi, Lauren Grush with The Verge. I'm wondering if you can clarify the number of launches that you plan to conduct in order to do these refillings. I know a lot of numbers have been thrown around, so I'm wondering if you have landed on a final number. And how quickly do you plan to launch those missions back to refuel the vehicle to get to the moon? Thanks.
Yeah, so the missions would happen pretty fast for refilling the vehicles to minimize boil off of the cryogenic propellants. Now for the vehicle going to the moon, we have some installation to minimize boil off. But we'd probably be launching, I don't know, probably every few hours. Aspirationally. So, yeah.
Hi, Elon. Kevin Haymeyer from Space Eccentric on YouTube and Rumble. Thank you. My viewers are really hungry to know anything about the interior design for crewed Starship. You have HLS, you have Deer Moon, and last we heard, maybe a year or two ago, you were looking to hire Tesla employees to design the interior for Starship. How's that going?
Well, we aren't focusing a lot on the interior quite yet. I mean, that will be important down the road, but our focus right now is just getting to orbit and proving out return of the booster and return of the ship. Yeah, it's fundamentally very difficult to build a fully reusable rocket given the strength of Earth's gravity and the density of our atmosphere. Like there's no, you can't have a lot of mass margin. So our focus is solving that rapid reusability. Like I said, we'll have a high production rate, so we're not dependent on we're not dependent on full reusability, but really that's the breakthrough that's fundamentally important to change the course of human civilization to become a multi-planet species.
Elon, this will be the last question for you. Evening, Elon. Bob Duncan. I'm a local resident. Are we cutting out? Is that better? Hi, evening. My name is Bob Duncan. I'm a local resident here in the area. And first off, thank you for a very cool evening. So this has been a lot of fun for us. As a local resident, it's been exciting to watch the amazing progress that SpaceX has made here in Boca Chica. And I was just curious, we're standing on the southern tip of the state of Texas. We're a few hundred yards from your residence. Could you just speak to what, if anything, has been appealing or advantageous about operating in the state of Texas versus other parts of the country? Thank you.
Well, I think we've, well, I mean, we've had a lot of support from the community, and something that just happens over time with societies is that kind of rules and regulations build up, and they build up, more in some places than others, and they didn't, I think Texas has the right amount of rules and regulations. Yeah.
Showing a belt buckle there.
Thank you all for coming. I hope you've enjoyed the evening, and I think we might be able to get you closer to the rocket if you'd like. So we'll get you as close as possible while still being safe. Yeah, feel free to take pictures, have a good time, and let's go like hell to have an exciting future. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's the end. He's walking off. So we're I'm not sure exactly what we got out of that. I think they're gonna end the broadcast here. I'm kind of just waiting to see if they actually end the broadcast, but I'm assuming that that's gonna be it. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's it. That's the end. I don't know. What did we get out of that? I don't know. We didn't. There were a lot of things that I was hoping that we would hear. Whether that's news about what their plan is with Lunar Starship, like what the timeline's gonna be, what are they working on right now, what are they but he didn't really touch on that. I was kind of curious about the timeline for when Starship would go orbital. He kind of toyed with that. I mean, I know a lot of it's dependent on the FAA and their approval, which they're expecting in March. It did sound like he thinks the hardware would be ready in March if the FAA is ready in March. So maybe if everything goes well with the FAA, they could be launching, late March, April timeframe, somewhere in there. That would be kind of cool. Be cool to see. So maybe we did get a little bit of that, a little tidbit of that information there. Raptor 2 kind of dangled a little bit of information about Raptor 2 out there. I mean, we got to see Raptor 2. It looks a whole lot simpler. Hopefully performs a lot better for, reliability and things like that. But we didn't really get into any huge nitty-gritty details. I mean, you could kind of talk a little bit about it. We have no idea what the inside's going to look like, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, I wasn't really expecting any interior answers at this stage. Like, right now, they're still trying to get it orbital. Like, they can worry about the interior, like, later on. Yeah, that's, I don't know. What else did we find out here today? I don't know what else. Probably just a pitch to retain media attention. I mean, I think it's there's probably a little bit of PR involved here, like trying to get the public interested, allowing reporters access to him. I don't know, what else did we get out of that? I'm trying I'm trying to think of what else specifically came out of it. He kind of talked a little bit about like what the overall plan of Starship is, like kind of from like the real, 50,000 foot view of the whole program. But I feel like we've heard that before. That wasn't necessarily new. Like, we know that the plan is to make life multiplanetary. We know that, we need rapid reusability. We want to fly these things over and over again. I mean, he did mention he wants to fly it like 3 times a day, which would be kind of crazy. I think we're years away from that. But one thing that, I don't know, this came up today. Maybe you guys were all on top of this, but he talked about like the point-to-point flights, like Earth-to-Earth flights, which I've always, they always showed the video of those, and I've always envisioned them as being like passenger flights, Earth-to-Earth, and I was always kind of like, I don't know, I know the flight would be like 30 to 45 minutes to go from New York to Australia or something like that, which would be crazy, but what's the preparation you got to go under as a passenger to do all that? Or, is it a huge pain? Like, would it just be easier to fly in a plane there or blah, blah, blah? But one thing that he mentioned today that I'd never really thought about, and I don't know why I didn't think about it, was doing point-to-point cargo transfer. Like, maybe it doesn't have to be people, but it could just be cargo that goes from New York to Australia. Like, there, you don't have to have any special training for the cargo. Like, you just load it in and be like, all right, we're going, here we go. I feel like that could be a much easier sell, like the Earth-to-Earth stuff for cargo purposes. If you could get enough cargo that needed to be transported across the Earth like that in a hurry, assuming it's cost efficient, like that I think could be a big deal for the Earth-to-Earth stuff. I've always wondered about the Earth-to-Earth or the point-to-point stuff for people, for passengers. That always seemed like a cool animation, but I don't know if we'll see that come to fruition at some point. But I don't know. Who knows? Let's see. What you got is the ship and the booster will be ready to fly as soon as FAA approval is out. Yep, that's pretty much what we got. Depends on the cargo and if it can withstand the shakiness and the G's that are associated with rocket flight, right? Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I want a book, but I'm not sure I'm willing to pay $10 million for shipping and handling, or $10,000 for shipping and handling. Yeah. If it was super crazy expensive, it probably wouldn't work out. But, maybe it starts with like military applications. A lot of things start with military applications. Like you need to move things from New York to Australia or New York to somewhere in, the Southern Pacific there. Maybe you need to move that in a hurry. That that could be the start of your cargo operations there. I don't know. Could I saw somebody was talking during the presentation, like would Elon and Jeff Bezos ever get together and have like an Amazon Starship? I don't think it'll happen, but it would be. It's kind of, because we're talking about cargo. It would be kind of funny if Amazon hooked up with Starship and was like, "Hey, we want you to ship our packages." I don't think it's gonna happen though. Don't hold your breath. We learned that Elon still likes his bad jokes. Yeah, okay, sure. I guess that's a thing. Orbital by the end of the year, Elon believes he said. Yeah, well, I think they're trying to go orbital much sooner than that. I think it sounds like he's trying to do it before the first, within the first half of the year. Yeah, so I don't know. I was kind of hoping we'd get a lot more information out of it. I'm left feeling like there's more to know. Bruce says it's one thing to have a drone land in your front yard, but a Starship? Yeah, I think we're gonna see Amazon drone deliveries, but before we'd see Amazon Starship. I don't think that's gonna happen. So, yeah, I guess, I think I have more questions after this than anything. I mean, I kind of want to know more details about, like, what specifically, like, what did they learn during the launch campaign and all that kind, like, we had, ta-da, here's our big Starship. Remember this guy? Remember this? We had so much fun with this when we were launching Starships. I still got it. Still got it, but remember we had all those problems with, like, header tanks. Where are the header tanks? In here? In here. Yeah, our header, oh wait, this. Oh, I can't see it from this angle. Oh, I have to open, yeah. We got like our header tanks that we had problems with during the test campaign. Oh no, I broke it. What did I do? Oh no, what did I do? It's not broken, just the magnets aren't lining up. I don't know why. Well. See, it's been so long since I've messed around with it. Oh, one of the magnets came out of its placeholder. That's the problem. That's the problem. Came out of its spot here. Get it. Gotta go back in there. There we go. Aha. Oh, well. Still not sticking together. Go this way? No, it goes this way. Well, welcome to Watch Tori put together a Starship. I hope you're having a good evening, and I have some riveting content for you as I show you how to. Oh, there. Ta-da! Oh man. Anyways, remember this guy? But yeah, I guess I want to know more. More about some of the issues we had during the launch campaign. Like, what did they have to change? What's changed since then? So yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. And now I'm just showing off my vehicle here. You got our Elonera, the flapper doodles, our engines. Now I'm just showing off here. Anyways. Let's see. Tony Who, thanks for the super chat. Elon and Amazon? Yeah, that'd be like Megadeth and Metallica getting together. Yeah, I don't see that happening. But thanks, Tony. Thanks for the support there. Tori's Starship model had a rapid unscheduled disassembly. It's just a grain silo with wings. I mean, what more do you need? That's it. So he didn't talk about much. He didn't talk about Mars bases. Just an overview of how it might look. Yeah, nothing really. Just yeah, we didn't really get much of that. We saw the same kind of. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna get kind of down on it a little bit, but like the animation, the launch animation. Which I think SpaceX has already posted it on their YouTube channel, but it's kind of the same launch animation that they've kind of recycled a couple times now, like every time they've upgraded or changed the look of it. So we saw that animation again, you know, with a couple little add-ons that weren't there before. But I don't know, not a ton of... I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I wanted to hear more about like Lunar Starship. I wanted to hear more about like concrete plans. I guess he's trying not to do that because every time he throws out concrete plans, things get delayed and they don't come, you know, then people are like, Elon time. But I don't know. I love when he does stuff like that. When he's like, I think we're going to launch Starship to the moon in 2 months from now. He always throws out like crazy unrealistic timelines. And I think he's trying not to do that now, and it's not as exciting. I like when he throws out crazy timelines when you're like, really? You think we're gonna land people on the moon in 3 hours? I don't know about that. That seems kind of quick. But I don't know. Anyways, I'd like to see animations of the first few Mars landings, not how it might look in 50 years. Says Fritz46. Yeah. I guess I'd like to see. You know, we talk about like the Mars landings and how much fuel it would bring. Like, somebody had mentioned, I don't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned, like, right at the beginning of the presentation. I didn't want to say anything because we were in the middle of listening to Elon at the time, but like, he did a great job of talking about what things are going to be like 100 years from now. But I want to know what things are going to be like 5 years from now. Like, what is the immediate plan that's like 5 years from now, what's happening? Like, I mean, really cool that you told us what's going to be happening like 50, 100, or 300 years from now. Like, that's cool. But, like, I want to know what's happening like this year or next year or like 5 years from now. Like, give us those animations. Like, I want to see the animation of what's happening by the end of this year. Like, tell me that. I don't know. That's just kind of how I was feeling. I felt like we got a lot of like real long-term stuff, not a lot of short-term stuff. When really, I think there's a ton of short-term things happening. I just want like the details of the short-term things. Anyways, what else did we get? Every time he throws out concrete plans, someone named makes 200 videos. Yeah, that's true. I feel like it was just an effort to regenerate public interest because there seemed to be a lull for a bit. Yeah, there was a bit of a lull. I mean, when was the last Starship launch? I don't even remember off the top of my head. When was our last Starship launch? Who remembers the date? It was a long time ago. When was the last test? When was that? Was that back in like May? Was that real? Is that really when it was? Like way back in May? I guess so. Yeah, wow. May of last year. Yeah, so yeah, I guess there has been a little bit of a lull. So yeah, it's been since May of last year. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit of like, hey, we're still here, we're still doing our thing. You know, there's not a lot of exciting developments going on, but there are developments. I just wish they would have told us more about that, but oh well, the next time. Anyways, I think I'm gonna wrap up here. I'm gonna go to bed. This was fun. We should do this again. I don't know where y'all have been, but I've been a little bit busy lately. So if you want to see some pilot stuff, some of the piloting I've done, you go check out my personal channel. Just search for my name. There's a link on the Overlook Horizon, the main page, but just search for my name. You can see some of the stuff that I've been up to over the last couple of months. Flying airplanes, now that I'm a pilot. I'm gonna do some more videos about that in the near future. And we'll start doing more of these live streams coming up. I don't know when the next planned live stream is. It may be a little while before we do another one again, but we'll be back for sure. Just stay in touch. Jump on our Discord. We'll chat it up, and I'm around, lurking in the shadows of our Discord. I'm still there, but we should do this again. This was fun. So, all right. Well, I think we said it all. I think I remember what live streams were like now. This is Graham, one of our moderators. I know it's only been 2 months since the last one. More 2-Minute Tuesdays, please. I know I should do 2-Minute Tuesday again. It's a lot. 2-Minute Tuesday is a lot of work, and it's very hard to put to. Even though it's only 2 minutes, it's hard to get an idea and put enough research into it where I'm happy enough to put it together. So I would love to do 2-Minute Tuesday again, but I got a lot of things going on in my life at the moment. This too busy for 2-Minute Tuesday. I wish I wasn't. I want to do 2-Minute Tuesday, but I'll bring it back. Maybe I'll just 1 2-Minute Tuesday a month, says Graham. That's not a bad idea, actually. Maybe I'll just surprise you randomly with a 2-Minute Tuesday, just on a random Tuesday. Be like, hey, we're back. That's kind of what we did on the stream today. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Yeah, you might be onto something there, Graham. That's not a bad idea. Monthly minute. Says heat shield. It's not a bad idea. 3-Minute Thursday. Yeah, now you're making it longer. I just told you how hard it was to put together 2-Minute Tuesday. Now you're making it longer on me. I don't know. We'll do more. We'll be back. We're still around. We're still kicking. We got things are coming back to normal for me as far as timeline goes. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do a little bit more here in the coming months. So anyways, all right, that's where I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna head out. Thanks for joining me here today. Thanks for hanging out, asking some questions, listening to Elon with me. It was nice to see all of you. I didn't really get to see you. I just see your names in the chat, but you guys got to see me. See, how we doing? All right. Anyways, all right. That's gonna do it for me. Go check out some pilot stuff. You can see me flying around in airplanes. Search my name. I'm on YouTube, right? And other than that, I'll see you. I'll see you next time. Oh, Heat Shield says maybe one of the mods can drop a link to Tori's pilot channel quick. Yeah, I'm sure somebody could drop a link in there. Otherwise, as soon as I push the end button, I'll just drop a link myself. So, all right, that's it, everybody. My name's Tori. This is Overlook Horizon. I'll see you next time. This was fun. We should do this again. All right, have a good day, guys. See you later. Goodbye.